Hey, welcome to the Sounds on Vinyl show. As always, my name is Phil Boyer. I have not changed my name. Probably won't, but maybe. You never know. I might go with some Viking name like Lars Larson or something like that.
I think you should.
That could be fun. But again, with me every single time we do a show is my brother from another mother, Professor Rockstar Extraordinaire, Viking historian, Mr. Mike Svensson. Mike, how the hell is it over there in the land of raping and pillaging?
Oh, those intros, man. Oh, it's getting better every time. We talked about this. I should edit out that, and I carried it around on my phone and just, so who are you? And just play that tidbit. Professor Rockstar Extraordinary. Good Lord. It's good. It's good. I'm on vacation. Since I'm a teacher, I have like 8 weeks off. So it's
must be nice.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. Charging my batteries, listen to a lot of vinyl records. I got a special crate that I set aside for stuff that I need to listen to back during the summer. Reading some books, biographies, and so forth. And, of course, go record hunting. So
there you go.
And, yeah, and I've been to London.
Yes,
London, baby.
You just got back from London.
Oh, I got back from London. I have so much good stuff. But I'll have to start with this. I have to start with the most metal thing that I've seen on a TV screen in a very long time. I'm a huge fan of a show called Stranger Things on Netflix, and it's in the period of time when you and I were teenagers, and of course, throughout the show, you get to listen to Motley Crue, you get to listen to Rat and Dio and whatnot. And now, okay, this is a spoiler alert for people who haven't seen the last season, season 4, but I have to bring this up since the band itself has commented on this. I'm talking about, of course, I have to raise this up right now. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding up this album. It's Metallica's Master of Puppets. And one of the characters in the show, he's called Eddie Munson. And he's me. He's me when I was like 16, 17 years old. He's a full-on metalhead. He wears a cutout jeans jacket with a Dio patch on his back and whatnot, and he plays the guitar. And there is, for you guys who have seen the show, there is always stuff going on with evil forces at work, and Eddie climbs up on this trailer with his big amplifier, and he has his guitar with him, and he's trying to fight off some minions that are attacking, and he blasts Master of Puppets. And of course, it is from the recording of Master of Puppets from 1986, and he's running through almost the whole song, and he's standing there with his long hair, head banging, and it's so freaking awesome. Even Metallica, I read a comment, like I think it was yesterday. They said, we watched the show, we watched the character Eddie Munson shred Metallica's Master of Puppets, and we're so freaking honored to be a part of this. It's so full on metal. So I had to bring that up. Metallica's Master of Puppets in Stranger Things, and this particular shows on season 4. We're up to the year 1986, and I remember vividly 1986. There wasn't a bigger band back then than Metallica, and there wasn't a bigger album than Master of Puppets.
Mhm.
and it's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I don't
yeah.
watch the show. I watched the first season. I'm like, this isn't my thing. I mean, I like
No.
conceptually, I like it. It just I just it's not my thing. But my wife Kate watches it, and
Yeah.
she's like, in the season finale of Stranger Things, Metallica was on it, and I'm like, oh really? Like, yeah. She's like, yeah. One of the characters got up there and played one of their songs, and this whole thing, and I'm like, oh, what song was it? Well, my wife doesn't really know Metallica. She hates Metallica. She's not a Metallica fan. So she like kind of looked it up, and it was obviously Master of Puppets. And
Mhm.
so she tried to find the video but couldn't. But then I ran across it and I watched
Yeah.
it. And I have to say, we've begun to see a lot more metal as metal becomes classic rock now, like
Yeah.
AC/DC and even Black Sabbath.
Mhm.
The show Billions, the main character's a metalhead, and so there's a lot of
Yeah.
metal in that show. And I
Yeah.
got to say, for the most part, when shows put metal on, the edits suck. They really do a pretty shitty job on the way they edit it. Stranger Things, though, like you said, they pretty much had like 3/4 of the song in it,
Yeah.
and the way
Yeah.
they edit it together was fucking awesome. Like they did a
It was.
really good
Yeah.
job with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun
I
to
think,
watch.
yeah, and I think that's why Metallica, I mean, they got out on a limb, supporting stuff. They could like say, yeah, we saw it, it's good, thank you, but it was a real statement from the band where they talked about the segment, they talked about, so it was very clear that they had watched it and they were really happy about it, and they said we're quite honored to be a part of this show, since it's like the biggest thing ever. And at the bottom, I think I can't remember where I read it on Blabbermouth or whatever. It said right now, Monster of Puppets the song is charting again. So it's like
Yeah, it was number 26 on their global chart.
yeah.
And when
Yeah.
you look at that chart, it's all like Metallica's the out. Like, what band doesn't belong here? And it's Metallica.
Yeah.
It's all like
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know
Yeah.
any of those bands. Like, but whatever. It's all like Justin Bieber and all that kind of crap
Yeah.
that's on there.
Yeah.
And it's for Metallica to be sitting like midway through. And that's always been to kind of deviate a little bit. My argument against our strict copyright rules. You look at what Stranger Things did for Metallica. They took this band that doesn't even really belong on this chart when you compare it to the other bands and put them there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel
Yeah.
like, the record labels need to get a little more lenient, and like we should be able to play a little bit of master right now, but we can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise
No.
we'd go to jail unless we wanted to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to license the song.
Yeah.
So, but even a show like ours, we're not as big as Stranger Things, obviously. We're close, but we're not quite there yet. we could still, I feel, sell some records or chart some bands. I feel like we could do that, and we try to with some of the independent bands. We try to do that, and I feel like this just goes to show what can be done when you do things the right way and you can feature music. And I get the licensing thing. I mean, we have a licensing company. Quick plug: if you guys need some music for your podcast or your video, you can go to boozehoundmusic.com and get very affordable music for license. This is music like Metallica, not Metallica, but like Metallica. Mike's music's up there, so you can go license stuff that Mike's done with his bands and stuff like that. So there you go. But I'll get off my quick plug. But yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, that was really cool to see.
Yeah. And thinking about, like, I mean, metal has its ups and downs. It's mostly people like you and I who grew up in the early 80s who are like still maybe buying albums or going out on a limb buying both t-shirts and concert tickets and vinyl records and so forth, because that's what we have done since we were kids. And nowadays it's reaching a new audience. So, and vinyl record sales are up, and I think it's cool to see that metal is up there, and it's important again. And I'll give you another example. We went to the movies to watch. My son is a big Marvel fan, so we're watching the new Thor movie, Love and Thunder, and throughout the entire movie, Guns N' Roses was playing, and I'm thinking, wow, this is pretty cool. Welcome to the Jungle is well, it's in a lot of movies, but they play Paradise Cities, they play Sweet Child of Mine, and they played something from Use Your Illusion, and that's fine and good. But in the end credits, I could hear right from the get-go when the song started out, it was Rainbow. Dio's Rainbow in the Dark. I mean, could you believe it? And I'm thinking, wow. Do you know how the song starts?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, and I'm sitting there watching the end credits, because there is always tidbits after the movies ended, after the credits. So my son always wants to stay to see if there is some secrets in after the credits. So I'm sitting there and I'm singing along. I can't help myself. and my son looks at me and said, "This is Dio, right?" Because he's into Holy Diver and so forth. And I'm so happy. Yeah, this is Dio, man. I'm sitting there I'm doing my horns to my son. And people are leaving the theater watching me. I'm always sitting in the back going like this.
Rocking
There's a rainbow in the dark. I mean, I mean, Dio, the solo stuff, it's not that as big as the Sabbath stuff that he did, or Rainbow. And I hope to God that Rainbow in the Dark also climbs the charts, so that we can see some fresh stuff up. I mean, a mix of newer stuff and stuff, because I don't think that the kids necessarily don't think it's a bad music. They don't know it exists.
Right. Exactly.
So the first thing I did when my son started to get interested in like Kiss, and he heard Enter the Sandman, and he heard Welcome to the Jungle and so forth, and I said, "Whoa, that's cool. Do you like this?" "Oh yeah, love it." "Okay, well listen to this." "Oh fucking hell, man." So first time I played Holy Diver, he was like, "Oh man, what's this?" And I talked him through the whole deal with Ron James Dio, and I played him some Rainbow, I played him some Sabbath. "Oh, I've heard this Sabbath song. My God, this is great." So, and I think that kids nowadays need to be reminded through their platforms, movies, series, TikTok, and whatnot. A guy like Alice Cooper, he's big on TikTok right now, because he does some scary stuff over there, and plays some tidbits of his music, and people are like shitting their pants and thinking this is the greatest thing ever. But I mean, kids, they don't know much about Alice Cooper, but through the right platforms, we can still spread the metal. I think that's very important.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you mentioned Dio, and my wife, this is like a while back, she was watching some TV show, and she's like, "Hey, listen to this. Do you know who this is?" And I'm listening to it. I'm like, "Yeah, that's Black Sabbath with Ronnie Dio. That's Die Young right there. That's, and it's like Die Young was, and they played like a good portion of it, man. And it was like, it was so cool, to hear that. Not just the usual Sabbath that you hear with Ozzy, but you hear the Dio stuff too, which was really cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So, well, I got a little sidetracked, but I thought it was important to bring up of monster puppets in Stranger Things. I mean, how cool is that? So, and it was Master. Oh man, we could go on all day. We could sing the song, but yeah, well, we're not going to do that. But
no.
Okay.
We can't.
So moving along to I mean, oh yeah, I've been to London. one of the coolest cities I know. I've been to a couple of them, but London is always, I got a special thing in my heart. So I thought I'll because I of course I went record hunting between all the stuff that I did with my family. So they had to bear with me, but it's all in good fun because my son he likes that too, going in and crate digging with me and say, hey, how about this one? So, but I'm going to talk about some of the stores that I visited. I picked out like 3 or 4 stores that I thought stood out. I went to around like 8 or 10, but there is a change right now in vinyl collecting, and it how should I say it with more diplomacy? People that think they can make money out of hoarding a lot of vinyl records open up a store, and it's utmost crap that they're trying to sell for like $10, and you take out the album from the sleeve and you think, what the fuck have you been doing with this record? Have you used this as a frisbee on the pavement? What the fuck is going on here? And you want $10 for this one? Oh, come on. It was a lot of that, which I thought was really, really depressing. But I went to Camden. It's a special area in London where you can meet people like myself, long hair rockers, punks, and whatnot. And it's a special vibe there. There's a lot of shops that you don't see anywhere else, and a lot of record store. So I went to a couple of record stores there, and one of them was one of the oldest. I have notes. I've taken notes in my notebook here, which is kind of old school, don't you think?
It's
so
old school.
I
Definitely
wrote it down with a pen, not digital. Kids, you kids out there, it's done with a pencil, in a paper, in a book. It's a black book. I'm holding it up. If you're watching YouTube, you can see it. But, well, you know. So one of the oldest record stores in Camden, it's called Out on the Floor Records. Camden's oldest record shop. 30 years and still going strong. How about that? Yeah.
Sweet.
And then I visited a place called Soho, which is also we get Soho all over the world, but it's in London. You got Soho with there is stores where you can buy T-shirts and you can buy really cool paraphernalia and accessories with music content, Rolling Stone T-shirts, Metallica, and so forth, and bell bottoms and belt buckles and so forth. So I went to a couple of record stores there, Reckless Records in Soho and Sister Ray in Soho. So those are the 3 that I'm going to talk about today. And of course, I have to mention the records. That's why we're here. So I'm reaching down on the floor here and picking up my first one. It's Whitesnake, Saints and Sinners. And of course, in Phil's head right now, he says, don't you have this album already? Yes. But we talked about this.
Yes.
But it's the special thing about this one, it's an original UK pressing from 1980. I have to look. 1982. So this is a special one.
Now let me interrupt you real quick because I want to. I feel like this is important. These record stores.
Yeah.
Are we talking used and new, or mainly used? And did you get is this used? Or is this something new?
This is used. This is used.
This is used. Okay.
yeah. All of the stores had some new albums in store. I think except for all of them had a section with new records too. But I'm always buying used albums because I want the original stuff. That's what I'm looking for. So this is when I go into a record store like this, I'm always looking for original pressings. And since Whitesnake is a UK band, perhaps not nowadays, except for David Coverdale, but back in the day, most of the people on here were from the UK. So you got Ian Pace playing the drums at some point in Whitesnake and so forth, and you got John Lord at some point also in Whitesnake. But I'm looking for specific stuff, and we talked about this with Soren. So I'm looking at the label, and for you guys that have YouTube and you're watching and holding in this upside down, it's the Liberty label that I'm looking for right there. Mm-hmm. It's a Liberty label, and it's it's a UK original pressing. And how do I know that? Well, Whitesnake at some point, this is actually one of the first Whitesnake albums that I own that has like Maiden little tidbits of messages. You know, we talked about this with the Run Out Groove. It's right there from the centerfold, center hole, with the label. And there's an area there which is much blanker than the rest of the stuff. It's called the Run Out Groove. So, and it's mostly used for like mastering engineers because they rarely get their name on the album. So they started to carve their initials in the Run Out Groove, and there is quite a few famous. One of them is RL. It's for Bob Ludwig, who did mastering of Zeppelin 2, Kiss Alive. He done some Hendrix, Bowie, Stones, and so forth. So he started doing his initial, but then all of a sudden, some of the band were able to be a part of this too and say, "Hey, could we do some fun?" So to my knowledge, I think it was Maiden who started out doing special messages, and I wrote some of them down that I think it's all in good fun. From Number of the Beast, it says in the Run Out Groove, "Give it some headbutts," and nobody knows what the hell does that mean. And on the other side, it says Nicks, NICKZ, which is, I don't know. So, and this one, I knew about this one. So Whitesnake has a message that say, on the one side, it said, "The gay blades strikes again."
Okay.
I don't know. And on the other side, it says, "We wish you well." And it's between the matrix numbers and the messages. I think this is like the stuff that gets me off. I think it's so much fun. And then I know it's an original pressing once there is a message in this one, and it has to have one of these printed inner sleeves with the lyric sheets, so you can read the lyrics. And there are songs like "Here I Go Again," "Rock and Roll Legend," "Dancing Girls," "Saints and Sinners," of course. And of course, if it's truly an original, it comes with a merch sheet. And I have to show you this. So, and this is a chance for you right now. Go on, head over to YouTube and watch this beauty. And it's a merch sheet where you can buy t-shirts, you can buy buttons, you can buy a program, a metal badge, a patch, and so forth. And I love reading this. Offers expires April 30th, 1983. New prices on application. So, and you buy a t-shirt for £5. That's sort of like $6 or something like that. And you buy a sweatshirt for like £10. And sort of like, what could that be, like $10 or $11 like there. And a button badge for like 50 pence. And a metal badge for £1. And you can fill out the order form right there. State your name and address and country and so forth, and they'd send in exclusive merchandise from Concert Publishing, Whitesnake. I just love. I mean, you rarely see the merch sheet in mint condition like this.
That looks good.
It's barely touched, and it's. I mean, I almost cried. Because it's so much fun. Because this is, in all kidding aside, I am a history teacher, and this is actually why history is so important for me. It started out with this, trying to figure out when I was a kid. Hey, Kiss is from the U.S., from a city called New York. And bear in mind, I'm like 8 and 9 years old. So I had to bring out the big atlas and to look it up. And I'm sitting there with my loop and trying to figure out where New York were and so forth. And be able to have a piece of history like this with the merch sheet like this, merchandise sheet, should say it correctly. It's well, I'm a happy camper, as you can see.
There you go.
If you're watching YouTube, you can see I'm smiling. So
yeah.
My first find from Reckless Records in Soho, London, an original UK pressing of Whitesnake Saints and Sinners. And I have to look at my notes because I wrote down a couple of notes. And to see if I mention everything. I did. It's all in good fun to find stuff like this, and I paid $12 for it.
Wow, $12.
Yeah, $12. Yeah, for an original pressing. It's sort of like around $30 to $35 in this condition, because it's. I would give this both the sleeve and the merch sheet and the inserts and everything else. It's in excellent condition. We talked about the grading system. Yeah, we talked about the grading system.
It looks good. I mean, there's a little wear on the corners, but other than that, man, it's like.
Yeah, and it's awesome. An album from like 1982. What's that? 40 years ago.
Don't go there. Jeez,
no,
come on.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Now I feel old. Damn it.
So, and moving along, I'm thinking this is except for my rant on the Stranger Things and Metallica, this is a London special, since I found some really good stuff, and I found this one, and there is stuff missing here, but still, I had to buy it because it is Deep Purple. The last concert in Japan. I really dig this lineup. It's called the Mark IV, with Tommy Bolin, Glenn Hughes, Ian Pace, of course David Coverdale, and John Lord, and this is Japanese pressing. And if you remember, it should have which is called an obi strip right there. It's supposed to have all the information on how to buy the album. The Japanese manufacturers, everything is explained on the obi strip in Japanese, so you know the price and what you're buying and so forth. I don't know why. I think people of Japan can read English, but still, it's missing the obi strip. But so, and for some collectors, this is an incomplete Japanese pressing, because you can't buy Japanese pressing without an obi strip. People say, but I can, because it cost me $10. I couldn't pass that up. $10.
There you go.
Right there. And it's from a record store called Sister Race in Soho. And look how beautiful this is. And I'm showing this. So if you want to head over to YouTube, you can check it out. I'm showing all the inserts and stuff. But of course, I'm going to talk about it. So if you're listening, so you don't miss out that much. But it's an insert where you have all the stuff, the stuff that's happening on the album. I'm holding it up like this. Insert sheet with lyrics and liner notes in Japanese. And on the other side, if I flip it over, it's all the songs in English, actually, which is kind of cool. So you got like this is I'm swearing in the church right now. This is one of my favorite lineups with Deep Purple, with David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes on vocals. You got songs like "Burn," "Love Child," "You Keep Me Moving," "Lady Luck," "Smoke on the Water," of course, "Soldier of Fortune," and so this is a really, really great album. It sounds amazing. The cover art is it's a bit scruffed. There is tears on the cover right there, but it's thick paper from the 70s. It was released in 1977, and it's a recording from 1975. And I always check the vinyl itself for hairlines and whatnot on it, and it's in perfect condition. I'm holding it up, and you can see it's shiny, all shiny and new, and you got the label right there. It's Warner Brothers, and it's printed with permission from Warner Brothers USA, and licensed for the Japanese audience. Deep Purple last concert in Japan, Burbank, home of Warner Brothers Studio, it says here, which is kind of cool. So I'm always checking the vinyl itself. If it would set me back like $20, I wouldn't have bought it, because I needed the obi strip for that. But since it's only like $10, I couldn't pass it up. I had to take it with me. Had to take it home, take care of it, cherish
give it a good place to stay and
hang
out.
Yeah. I had to save it from the crates. That's why I always say I do. I save the albums from the crates. It couldn't just be there on its own. It has to come with Mike.
It's a good thing you're not into dogs or pets of some kind, because I gotta give it a good home, man.
Yeah, I gotta give it a good home. So, is this dog 150 you got right now?
I've already got 101 Dalmatians.
There you go.
Do I need another one?
Do I need another one? No, I don't know. So, and of course, I forgot to mention it's recorded at the famous Budokan Hall in Japan, where Kiss have played the Beatles and Sheep Creek and whatnot. So it's really, really good stuff. So very, very good condition. I would give it a very good plus for the vinyl itself, since it's in very good condition. Just a couple of hairlines, no scuffs, no scratches at all, and some dust. But I had some anti-static cleaner so I cleaned the record and I played it, and it plays very, very well. So so that was that. Really cool stuff. Now
There we go.
Yeah. So Sister Race in Soho, check it out. That was a great store, really great store. I think I have some pictures. We should post that and because I did some posts on the Sounds of Vinyl Instagram account, and I tagged Sister Race, which gave me a thumbs up for promoting them. And I think when you have a great store and you take care of your records like that, you deserve to be mentioned, because it's hard, man. It's hard running a store. And so Sister Race, and this is another one from Sister Race. This is Saxon, Denim and Leather right there. And we actually talked about this pressing before, because this is a low budget pressing. This is a repress on a label called Fame. You remember I told you about those?
Yes, the infamous Fame.
Yes, yeah.
Label.
And yeah, and they of course had to have all of their logo plastered there on the label. It says Fame right there. And of course, on the front cover, in one of the corners, actually this is somewhat hidden, very fine, but it says Fame up in the right corner. And I got a Maiden album, which is a big Fame logo on the front, which is horrible. And so why on God's earth did I buy this one, you might ask? Well,
I was going to actually ask that.
Yeah. It's almost in mint. I wouldn't say mint per se, but it's in very, very excellent condition. It's one of the nicest records I've seen from like 30 years ago. It's a repress, so it was released in 1987. The album itself is from I should know this by heart. 1981, Denim and Leather from 1981, and this is a repress from 1987. So why did I buy this one? It's because it only cost me $5. So $5 with an album that is in excellent condition, both the record itself and the sleeve. And so sometimes when I have original pressings like the Whitesnake, I think I have this one in original pressing. I'll save this one for the archives, and I'll play this one instead. I
was gonna say that would be a good one to play, and keep the originals for.
The original sound somewhat a tiny bit better, but if I play the original like 1 or 2 times a year, and I play this for the most part of the year, that will save me the original pressing. So and this is a nerd talking right now. For people listening, maybe it doesn't make any sense at all buying like you know me, if you follow the Sounds of Vinyl podcast, or you follow the Sounds of Vinyl Instagram account, you know that I own multiple copies of certain albums. Kiss Alive is one of those albums. So they sound different. a couple of them. The Japanese pressings sound way better, and we talked about this before because it's a smaller pressing plants. They don't press as many records as they do in both US and Europe. So and that's why it sounds better with Japanese pressings. So I got sidetracked right now. But this is in excellent condition. And once again, if you're watching YouTube, I will try to show you this. It's shiny. You can see.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, you can actually see this in the video. I didn't think that it would show, but it got some. I mean, some of my favorite Saxon songs: "Princess of the Night," "Never Surrender," "Out of Control."
That song.
Yeah, never surrender when you're up against the wall. You see, "Play It Loud," and if I flip it over, side 2, you got "And the Bands Played On." I mean, and the bands played, and "Midnight Rider," "Fire in the Sky," and of course "Denim Leather." I got to watch Saxon at this year's Sweden Rock Festival, and I mean, come on, it's Saxon, man. I had to buy this one. I mean, what's there to say? It's crazy. It is crazy because I love Saxon. I'm going to see them in October. They're coming to KB in Malmö.
Oh.
And in Swedish it's Kulturbolaget in Malmö. So go and watch Saxon, and with supporting at Diamond Head. Diamond Head, remember those? New Wave of British metal? Jeez, Diamond Head, one of Lars Ulrich's favorite bands, Diamond Head. So, whoosh! I've been talking. I think I think I'm gonna. I think this is it. I bought I think I bought a couple of more, but I think maybe I'm gonna save them for later. So I'm not.
You can talk about those next week, maybe.
We could. So, did I mention everything about Saxon Denim reissue, budget label fame? We talked about this. And why the hell did I buy it since it's a budget label? Well, on the other hand, talking about those budget labels, they were cheap back in the day. I remember. You could buy them. I think they were like between $3 and $4 in the mid '80s, something like that. And the original pressing were somewhere around like $6 and $7, around like 85 to 89, something like that. So if you didn't have money but you wanted to buy the latest release, you can buy it on this Fame labels, because a lot of record store in Malmo had those. But I always thought it was, hey, what's with this Fame? And a guy in a record store, I remember when I was a kid, he explained the whole situation with the Fame, because I thought, this isn't called Fame, this is Number of the Beast, and what's going on here? So, and he explained it's a budget label, and
it just means it's famous.
it is. That's it right there. So, London is always great. I had such a great time. Me and my family, we went around and doing, because my son was like 9 years old the last time we were there.
No.
So he doesn't remember much about it, and he's 15 years old right now. So we went out. We found a special limited store with only Rolling Stones stuff.
Oh wow!
It's called the Rolling Stones 60s. It's in Carnaby Street, which used to be a street where all the musicians back in the 60s went to buy all their clothes. So you got Jimi Hendrix and you got Bowie and the Stones and the Beatles and so forth. So, and everybody was there at Carnaby Street. So at the end of Carnaby Street, they had their own shop where you can buy vinyl records and you can buy T-shirts and jackets and so forth. And that was pretty cool. It was, I mean, talking about one of the biggest rock and roll bands in the world having their own store in the middle of London. That's really cool. Yeah, it was. So it was a really great trip. And if you get the chance, we'll post this. But my favorite record stores was Sister Ray's in Soho and Reckless Records also in Soho. And just for the heck of it, Out on the Floor Records in Camden, the oldest record shop there, 30 years and counting. Really, really old stuff, but it was cool to see. Didn't buy that much stuff there, but it was cool to go through the crates and seeing everything, and it's an atmosphere thing for me going into a record shop. I'm sort of like demanding, if I go into a record store, there should be a turntable with some music on. It doesn't matter for me what kind of music it is, and a shitload of records and people that are interested in selling you or talking about music. And both Reckless Records and Sister Ray's, especially Sister Ray's, was great at that, talking and so forth, and very service minded. So that's cool. I have to give them my money. So I need
Take
something
my
back.
money.
Take my money. So well, that's it.
That's it. All right.
I think that's a solid show right there. Don't you agree?
There you go. We talked about a lot. We covered a lot, and we're going to do the same thing next week. We're going to have some fun, talk about vinyl. So with that, we will bid you farewell for this episode of Sounds on Vinyl. We'll see all you fuckers next week. So until then,
yeah.
Later.